Hey, what's up, guys? This is Doug with Outlaw Offroad. You know, we get questions every day on topics ranging from sway bars to long arms and everything in between. And obviously, we've got answers to those questions. We answer them all the time, but we wanted to make a video series for you guys to get into those questions, answer those questions for you, give you the right information, help you cut through all the stuff that you may have seen, some of the bad information out there. So that's what we're going to do right here, right now. So let's get after it. So what makes a good suspension? Man, this opens up Pandora's box. Everybody has their brand preferences. Check out any Facebook group. Do a poll. I'm sure we've all seen them. What's the best suspension brand? What's the best this? What's the best that? The truth is, there's no such thing. There is no best. There is no best shock. There is no best suspension. There is no best. There's best for you. There might be a best for your situation, but overall, there's no best. So I always tell people, first of all, be careful of that word. And anybody who says anything's the best. What's best for me may not be best for you. What's best for you may not be best for me. So I like to go and say, well, what's a good system? What's a complete system? And we can define that in really general terms. What I like to call a complete system is, for me personally, is a basic type of components, a basic number of components, and a basic structure of a lift kit or a suspension system that are going to do what we want them to do at a given height. So obviously the higher we go, the more stuff we're going to want to replace. But in general, for 85 to 90% of the consumers out there that are not going to run crazy big tires, they're not going to go do crazy rock crawling, stuff like that, you're going to do, you know, a 2.5 inch lift, a 3.5 inch lift, a 3 inch lift, whatever that vehicle is, to get it up to clear the standard tire. And what I like to say, for example, solid axle Jeep. Obviously that's most of the vehicles out there running lifted. So we'll use that as an example. Obviously we're gonna wanna replace coil springs, we're gonna replace shocks. We wanna make sure that those coil springs and those shocks are paired together. Check out our other videos and you'll see about shock pairing with coil springs. But we wanna see that. We want to also make sure that we're doing longer sway bar links. That sway bar, as you lift it, is going to rotate down. We want that back parallel or slightly above 5 to 10 degrees above parallel. We don't want body roll, and longer sway bar links are going to help with that. We also want to make sure that we are addressing caster. Caster, put simply, is just the rotation of the front axle. Is it rotated forward? Is it rotated backwards? And we'll get into that again and get into that in another video. But caster is going to bring, at a basic level, controlled by front lower control arms. We want longer ones. And that may be 1/4 of an inch, it may be 1/2 of an inch. It's not much. But those small degrees, when it comes to alignment geometry, make huge differences. And when it comes to caster, it's primarily on the road. You know, that's gonna be, you're gonna feel that on the highway at 60 miles an hour on a windy day. If your caster is proper, you're not gonna feel like you're riding a sailboat at 90 miles an hour in hurricane force winds. If it's not proper, yeah, that's bad. That's when you get these guys on social media talking about their Jeep can't be driven in windy conditions and stuff like that. So that's you know, point number 3 there. Also, and again, this depends on vehicle and lift height, but we like to see track bar being either adjustable in the front, and then in the back we can raise that and get into the roll center. But on the front, you know, we like that track bar to be a little bit longer, because from the factory it's a fixed length, whether it's 32 inches, 34 inches, whatever that is. But as you lift that body frame powertrain away from those axles, that point that those mount to, it still has to stay the same. So the axle is actually being pulled down into the side. And that gives you, when you look at a vehicle straight on, again, Jeep for example, that body is actually sitting off center of those axles. You may have heard that called as dog walking, dog tracking, off center, whatever. But that body is not centered on that axle. And of course that can, as you can imagine, that can cause a whole lot of problems, which is simply solved by a longer track bar. And we say adjustable because that means basically we can take one track bar and we can use it for a 2-inch lift, a 3-inch lift, a 5-inch lift, whatever. And we can adjust that to get the axles centered. So obviously, again, you know, in summary, we're gonna replace shocks, we're gonna replace coils, we're gonna replace sway bar links. You know, what we do that with is another question based on your use, but you know, that track bar being for axle centering and those lower control arms to be able to have the caster set right. And again, depending on model, you're gonna have little things in there, you know, different bolts, different hardware, brake drop brackets, but in general, those 4 key categories are a minimum to me to what I would consider being starting out as a good complete lift system that addresses all of the geometry and the physics that we need to address to make sure that your vehicle is going to perform on road and off.